Welcome back to the Garnet Sports Network. Matt Fine with you. Game number 2 in our 2-game afternoon set. Gettysburg picking up a 3-2 win in game number 1. And we are underway with 9 more here this afternoon with our first pitch at 2:55. Go through the lineups as we move forward. This is Kyle Miller leading off for the Bullets. First pitch to the left side, pulls over Rothwarg with no chance to get the runner at first. So we're leading off with an infield single to start game number 2. Offensively for John Campo's squad, Miller, Muir, Tristan Niels in the 3 spot, Andrew Decker, Aaron Kirby. He's the only new person in the starting lineup. He'll be the DH in game number 2. After that, Prezioso, Siebert, Preston Toothman in the 8 spot, and at the catching position, J.R. McCloskey. So 8 of the 9 hitters are all in the exact same spots they were in game number 1. The only exception is Kirby. And he will be batting 5th, which is where the DH spot was in game number 1, but he came in to pinch hit late in that game. On the mound for the Garnet, Alex Schessler, number 35. The junior right-hander from Oxford, Pennsylvania, 6'3", 195. Schessler 2-2 on the season. His 10th appearance, start number 7. He's got a 7.48 ERA. This one's bounced going for the 6-4 put out. There's a forced play. Throw a little bit high, but no real extra damage done. That was a difficult double play ball. As the ball got to Mutz, did a nice job of getting over to second base to Jabara, but not enough juice on that ball to make it a real double play ball. Five-4 on the putout and the fielder's choice, and this brings up Tristan Niels. A tight game. A couple of errors on the Swarthmore side was the difference late in that game in the 3-2 loss. With that loss, Swarthmore falling to 3-2 in the Centennial, 10-15 overall. The win moved Gettysburg to 4-1 in the Centennial, as the Bullets are looking good early in this season as a team that's win number 11. The 1-1 runner going. Niels in a hole, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Here comes the 1-2. This one just poked in the center field. Terada Herzer is there. So 2 away now for Andrew Decker. Two outs still, that runner at first base in Muir. Defensively, by the way, for Swarthmore in the top of the first, we have Mutz at third, Rothwarg at short, Jabbar at second, Silvestris at first. In the outfield, Burgess, Teraza Herzer in center, and Paul Cook in right. We do have one change defensively in the catching spot. That's number 9, Sam Jacobson, getting the start here in game number 2. And that ball right at Cook, who didn't have to move. And that will do it for Gettysburg here in the top of the first. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left. We move to the bottom of the first. Swarthmore coming to bat. We're back, bottom of the first. Swarthmore looking to even up the series today. And this is how they will do it offensively. A couple of changes, some familiar names, but in different places. It starts here with Max Rothwarg, who has spent much of the year batting in the 9 hole, recently in the 8 hole, and then he moves up to the 1 hole in this game, and 1 pitch in, he is a base runner after taking a pitch. So 1 batter in, and we have a hit by pitch. Followed by Rothwarg, we have Luke Mutz in his familiar spot, batting second. Austin Burgess, number 3. Michael Seppi, the DH, in the 4 hole. Matt Silvestri, number 5. Nate Jabara, batting 6. Paul Cook at 7. Kirk Terada Herzer, who's been the leadoff hitter for much of the year, moves to the 8 spot. And, of course, the catcher, Sam Jacobson, at number 9. Swarthmore with all sorts of base runners in game number 1, just unable to really move runners. Several innings where they put the leadoff runner on and really just struggled to get anybody in. The 2 runs they did score, one was off a home run, and one came or started with a triple to right field. So manufacturing runs was difficult in game number 1. That pitch just misses. From number 14, Teo Tirado is the starting pitcher for the Bullets. 6'2" senior from New York. This one bounced and passed Decker into left field. Making the move to third. Here comes the throw. Safe at third. And that's some aggressive base running for Rothwarg, who has at times found himself in the wrong end of some of those situations where he tries to stretch something, But there, rounded second with a head of steam and heading into third. The throw was there just as he was getting in, but Decker unable to hold on to it. So hit by pitch and a single. And here's Austin Burgess. Burgess struggling in game one, looking for some magic here in game two. He's got a great opportunity with runners at first and third, nobody out. Takes a fastball. Teo Tirado at 10.06 ERA, 2-1 this season. His fourth start, his ninth appearance. He's pitched 17 innings this year, giving up 19 earned runs. Does strike out a decent number of batters, 18 strikeouts in those 17 innings. He has also walked 12. Burgess in a hole, no balls and 2 strikes. Pops one in the foul territory. Some space over there, and a nice put out by Siebert. Roughwire pretending to come home to force a throw. But that turns out to be out number 1. Here comes Michael Seppi, the designated hitter. Number 45. From the left side, if he can top one over to the right side, if he can pull one, that would be run number 1 today for Swarthmore. Runner goes, a little hit and run. In the dirt. So we have an out at first base. The runner does move up to second on the fielder's choice, but Rothwarg unable to come home. So there was a runner at third with nobody out. Now there's a runner at third with 2 outs. Mutz stands on second base. I think if Rothwarg would have run on contact there, I think there's a good opportunity for him to score on that play. But he did not. So now with a couple of runners in scoring position, 2 away here. The 1-0. Bouncer to the left side. And despite a couple of early base runners here in the bottom of the first, Swarthmore comes up empty with no runs, 1 hit, a couple left. We've played 1, no score. Welcome back to the top of the second inning. We'll see 4, 5, and 6 for Gettysburg. Excuse me, 5, 6, and 7 for Gettysburg against Alex Schessler. A couple of scores from around campus today for Swarthmore. An upset in softball on the downside for the Garnet, as the softball team's 14-game win streak is over. They fall in Game 1 to Washington College. This ball is popped up, and Cook is there for out number 1. That was Kirby. Here's Prezioso, sophomore left fielder, in his first at bat, of course, today. So the 14-game win streak is over. Swarthmore falling to 15-3 on the year. They did put up 1 run in the 7th, so they were threatening, but unable to come across with that tying run. 4 errors on the day for the Garnet in the loss. That's the downside. The upside is that the lacrosse team, the men's lacrosse team, upsets Gettysburg. That game right behind us. The final there is Swarthmore 14, nationally ranked Gettysburg 10. So Swarthmore not only, as that ball is hit, but right at Burgess, not only did Swarthmore pick up its first win in conference play this year, they moved to 3-1 with the win, but they hand the Bullets their first conference loss of the year. So big win right behind us for the Garnet in men's lacrosse. The softball team is playing a doubleheader, so we'll get more scores from the women as we move through the afternoon. I'll also update you on some scores in the Centennial, as all the game number 1s have wrapped up. First pitch swinging, Siebert, and that is a quick top of the second. 1-2-3, top 2. We move to the bottom of the second, still no score. We're back bottom 2. We'll see 6, 7, and 8. Swarthmore wasting a golden opportunity in the bottom of the first. They had runners at first and second. Nobody out. Unable to put anybody across. Here's Nate Jabara. Jabara first pitch swinging. Shallow right field. Toothman coming back. That's not an easy play, as you had Miller, Niels, and Toothman all there, but pop up 4 put out in your scorebook. Here comes Paul Cook, the right fielder. Some scores around the Centennial. All the first halves of those doubleheaders are in the books. Franklin and Marshall over Muhlenberg 7-2. Johns Hopkins 11-3 over Dickinson, and the game you saw here on the Garnet Sports Network, Gettysburg 3, Swarthmore 2. All 3 games in the second half of the doubleheader, all getting underway as we speak. The 1-1. Cook came into today batting .351, second on the team behind Mutz. That is out number 2, swinging for Cook. First strikeout this afternoon for Tirado.
Number 11, Kirk Tirada Herzer.
Here's Tirada Herzer's first at bat in the 8-hole this afternoon for game number 2. First pitch swinging. And that is a quick bottom of the second. We are flying through the first 2 innings here. 3 up, 3 down for Swarthmore. Move to the third, no score. We're back for top of the third. We will see 8, 9, and 1. We'll start with Toothman. Then we'll go to McCloskey. And why not go back to the top of the order for Kyle Miller. A lot of first pitch swings here for both teams early on. Toothman, 5'11", a junior from Orlando, Florida. Pokes one fairly deep to right field over his shoulder, unable to pick it up is Cook, who plays shallow in right. And that wind just kind of took it against the way he was running, and it curled away from him. So a stand-up double to lead off the third. Here comes J.R. McCloskey, number 17, catching this afternoon. Mutz on the edge of the grass at third. Silvestri a couple of steps on the grass at first. Seen a lot of hit and run attempts. No real successful hit and run attempts, but we've seen some attempts at it. I think almost every time we've seen a hit and run this afternoon, it's been a foul ball of sorts. I mentioned that because of Jacobson giving some signs to his infield. Rothwarg is the one trying to keep the runner close to second. That fastball looks good. No balls and 1 strike. This went in the dirt. Nice stop by Jacobson. Jacobson got the start yesterday. Didn't play in game 1 today, but got the start yesterday against Johns Hopkins. 1 for 3 with a run scored. The 1-1 defensive swing, and Schessler gets ahead of the count. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The 1-2. Count goes even. 2 balls and 2 strikes. We're heading back to the top of the order to Kyle Miller after this. The 2-2 bounced and foul right past the coach. Coach Campo heading into his 36th season at the helm of Gettysburg. 36 seasons here in 2022. He is the program's all-time wins leader. Coming into the year, 626 wins, 579 losses, and 4 ties over his tenure. About a dozen 20-win seasons as well that he can brag about. A couple of 30-win seasons as well. The 3-2, high for a ball. So we got ourselves a stand-up double and a walk to start off the top of the 3rd. Unlike what you saw in game 1 with Barry, game 2 will be much more, at least for Swarthmore, much more of a pitching by committee. You'll see Coach Midkiff stick with his starter until he feels as though he's getting in trouble, and then he's going to go to the bullpen. We've seen game 2 with 7, 8, 9 pitchers, each going about 1 inning, maybe an inning and a third at times. So Schessler, who had made easy work of Gettysburg in innings 1 and 2, is for the first time this afternoon in a little bit of trouble. A couple of runners on, and we go back to the top of the order where Miller stands in. You're talking about a guy who entered the day at a .398 average. And it doesn't get any easier after that when you have the captain coming up in Matt Muir, who's on deck. Miller bunts one right up in the air and out of play. Almost took a couple fans by surprise over there. No balls and 1 strike. Let's see if he tries this again at 0-1. You have Silvestri up on the grass. If you see a bunt, you'll look for it down the first base line. He does square up. This one comes down the third base line. They let it go foul, which is a good decision. That would have been a situation where everybody was safe if that had been picked up in fair territory. Now this changes the at-bat a little bit as now we go no balls and 2 strikes. Although last game, something that you almost never see, was Gettysburg trying to lay down a bunt with 2 strikes. So you never know. I think the count was 2-2 when they laid down that bunt, and it was a successful bunt. It was a sac bunt on a 2-2 count. So we're 0-2 here. You would think that the bunt's been taken off, but who knows? And you have Silvestri on the grass just in case, because they remember what happened in game 1. The 0-2, swinging away. Taylor made double play. 6 over to 3. And that's exactly what they needed. Swarthmore caught a break there. Because of the runners that were on, you have the middle infield pinching. Rothwarg was already making motions towards, or his momentum was taking him towards second base, and then Miller hits one right up the middle. Rothwarg stands on second, throws over to first. So a double play, 6-3 on the putout. It does now leave a runner at third base in Toothman, but 2 outs for Muir. It's a very good trade for Swarthmore in that exchange. That pitch is a little bit high for a ball. The 1-0 bounced foul. Pitch just misses inside. And Schessler behind in the count, 2 balls and 1 strike. That pitch left up a little bit as well. Now 3-1 to Muir. Muir with a good eye leads the team with 13 walks. Muir, a 4-year starter for Coach Campo at shortstop. One of the 2 captains on this team. And that went in the dirt. So he'll head down to first base. That's the first walk of the afternoon for Schessler. Excuse me, walk number 2, both coming in this inning. I apologize. Now with runners at first and third, coach is coming out. This is Coach Midkiff. And he makes the sign. So we already have our first pitching change here with 2 outs in the bottom of the 3rd inning, as Schessler will take a seat for the rest of the day. We'll take a break, reset with a new pitcher. No score here at Clothier. We're back with a new pitcher, Jet Shu, number 37. Shu is a sophomore from Charlottesville, Virginia. His 8th appearance, all in relief, 2-0 on the year, a 5.40 ERA. And he's got runners at first and third, 2 outs. In relief of Schessler. And this is Tristan Niels. First pitch, and 1 pitch in, and a 1-run lead for Gettysburg. A single to left field. That scores Toothman. So Niels now 1 for 2 this afternoon with the RBI and a 1-0 lead for the Bullets. Runners at first and second for Andrew Decker. Another first pitch swinging into the gap in right center field. This one's going to travel. A couple more runs are going to come in to score. A stand-up 2 RBI double for Decker. As Muir scores, as does Niels. And this one just kind of split the gap between Terada, Herzer, and Cook. So three quick runs here in the top of the third. And now with a runner at second base, Aaron Kirby. Kirby had a hit in game number 1, came in relief in the DH spot. 0 for 1 here in game number 2. This one popped up to right field. And that is out number 3. But some damage done as 3 runs come across in the top of the third. We move to the bottom of the third. Swarthmore trailing now 3-0. We're back bottom 3. Matt Fine on the Garnet Sports Network. And Swarthmore playing from behind after a crooked number in the top of the third.
Leading off of the Garnet, number 9, Sam Jacobson.
We'll see 9, 1, and 2. Jacobson and back to Ruffwarg and to Mutz as Jacobson lays down a bunt foul. Jacobson's first action today. Sat in game number 1 after playing yesterday in the big win over Hopkins. Fastball high, and the count goes even. All 3 games in the Centennial on the baseball side. Game 2s are all underway. Franklin and Marshall flying through that game already in the top of the fourth, 1-0. Franklin and Marshall in the lead over Muhlenberg. Johns Hopkins and Dickinson in the first inning, no score, and the game here between Gettysburg and Swarthmore. The 1-2. Your Science and Washington College will play tomorrow. They're the two teams not playing today. They'll play 2 tomorrow. The only conference matchups. As this ball's hit to the left side and past a diving Deckard into left field. So leadoff single for the catchers. We go back to the top of the order. I was going to say that the your Science Washington College is the only conference games tomorrow, but actually there are a lot of conference games tomorrow as I look a little bit closer at the schedule. You have Haverford McDaniel playing. Dickinson and Muhlenberg are playing as well, so pretty busy slate in the Centennial this weekend. As Rothwark steps in. And first pitch, right to right field. You had Jacobson just holding up for a half a second. Unsure if Niels was going to catch that ball. It was kind of hit an awkward place for Jacobson. He almost had to look behind him a little bit. But he gets to second easily. Ball was hit way too hard for him to go to first and third anyway. So Rothwarg is on for the second time today.
Number 7, Luke Mutz.
And here's Luke Mutz. Mutz singled in his first at bat. Ball gets away from McCloskey. Similar situation here in the third is what Swarthmore had in the first, and they put their first 2 runners on, but they couldn't score. Here comes the 1-0 to left field and over the bullpen. So an even count, 1 ball, 1 strike to the senior third baseman. Looks like they called a balk. Yes, they did call a balk on Teo Tirado. Runners both move up. That's a big play as now there's a couple of runners in scoring position. As Jacobson moves to third. Rothwarg now at second. And Coach Campo needs an explanation. There were some fireworks in the first game with that type of a move. As Coach Midkiff was unhappy with the pitcher on the mound for Gettysburg, who he felt did not stop his motion. Didn't end with any balks in game number 1, but we got one here in game number 2. So 1-1 count now to Mutz with a couple of runners in scoring position, and Mutz looks at strike number 2, 1 ball and 2 strikes. A pitch way outside to Mutz, the Strathaven graduate. Grew up right down the street, also born and raised here in Swarthmore, a local product. Here comes the 2-2. This one's beat to the right side. It'll get the job done in terms of a run, and safe at first as Mutz beats out the throw. That ball just bounced a little bit too much, and the toss to first base had a little bit too much air under it. Mutz gets down the line real fast from his left side. So run comes in. That's Jacobson. Give Mutz an RBI single there. So all the runners are now back to where they started the at-bat at first and third, but it runs in. Rothwarg at third. Mutz now stands at first, and Austin Burgess stands in. Mutz 2 for 2 today already. This one just a bit inside on Burgess, so much so they went behind him. If he'd stuck his back out, it would have hit him in the backside. I think Burgess has taken more inside pitches today than most batters will see, at least in a week's time. He's already gotten hit on the hand. He's ended up on his backside a couple of times on inside pitches. They're high and tight as the runner goes down the second. So give Mutz a stolen base. Number 19 on the year. And that ball hit hard to left center field, deep, back, and gone right into the dorms as the fans in left center field celebrate. A 3-run shot for Burgess, and that's a big one for Burgess. He'd struggled in game number 1, but he looks good here in game number 2. A 3-run blast. And 4 runs have come across for the home team here in the bottom of the third. For Burgess, home run number 4 on the year. RBIs 22, 23, and 24. And it looks like we have ourselves a pitching change. And we do. After 2 quiet innings in innings number 1 and 2, all sorts of fireworks here in inning number 4. Most coming off the bat of Austin Burgess with a 3-run shot. We'll take a break, reset with a new pitcher when we come back. Swarthmore now in front 4-3. We are back with a completely new game after the long ball from Burgess. 4 runs are already across here in the bottom of the third, and not a single out, by the way. All 4 batters have come across the score. First Jacobson, then Rothwarg, Mutz, and Burgess. 3 of those 4 runs coming off the home run from Burgess to left center field right up against the dorms. And in comes a new pitcher. Teo Tirado takes a seat in place of number 3, Cole Wong. Wong is a sophomore righty from Vero Beach, Florida. 2-1 on the year at 10.06 ERA. His 9th appearance. 17 innings of work. Giving up 19 earned runs. So we saw the two pitchers in game one go deep into the game. Here in game two, we already have a pitching change for each team. As Michael Seppi takes strike number 3, looking for out number 1. So 1 batter and 1 strikeout for Wong. The line on Torado, by the way, 2 innings pitched. He did pitch into the third, gave up 4 runs, all earned. 5 hits, 1 strikeout, did not walk a batter. Here's Matt Silvestri, grounded out to the third baseman in his first at bat in the first inning. Two balls and a strike. This one inside out, pretty deep to right field. Niels does a 360, eventually comes up with out number 2. Here is Nate Jabbar, number 14.
Number 14, Nate Jabara.
The junior from New York. Takes strike number 1 for the economics major. Jabbar 0 for 1 this afternoon in game number 2. One ball and 2 strikes. This one into the gap in left center field. Miller gets over to it. The throw to second base. And a bad decision by Jabara. Picks up the single, snagged at second base for out number 3. But 4 runs do come across here in the bottom of the third as Swarthmore takes his first lead of the afternoon, at least in game number 2. 4-3, coming right back, top of the 4th. We're back in the top of the fourth. Matt Fine on the Garnet Sports Network. We will see 6, 7, and 8 here in the fourth for Coach Campo's squad. Start off with Prezioso, a left fielder, who flew out to left center field in his first at bat. 7 runs combined in the third inning after a bunch of donuts in innings 1 and 2. 3 runs, 4 hits, no errors for the visitors. 4 runs, 6 hits, and no errors for Swarthmore. And we have a new pitcher on the mound as well, number 27, Kyle Jones-Shaw. A 4.00 ERA. Quick over to first. They do get the job done. That play took a little while to develop. But 1-3 on the putout as Jones-Shaw comes off the mound. And Silvestri, who went after that ball at first, retreated back to first. So Jones-Shaw, no wins or losses on the year's 11th appearance, all in relief. 18 innings pitched so far this year. Here's Mark Siebert. The first baseman is a senior with junior eligibility. He'll be back next year for Coach Campo as a graduate player. Got a softball update for you as well. Swarthmore and Washington College. After Swarthmore being upset in the first game, another one over to first base. And Silvestri's a busy guy here in the fourth as we go 3 unassisted. Washington College pulling off the upset over Swarthmore in softball 2-1 in game number 1. And now the two teams are tied 1-1 in the third in game number 2. Here is Toothman, a double and scored a run in that 3-run third. His double led off the third. It's a swing and a miss. The line for Shu, by the way, just 1/3 of an inning. Gave up 1 run earned on a couple of hits. So this is pitcher number 3 this afternoon in game number 2 for Coach Midkiff. It's what we've come to expect. As in game 1, you expect Barry to go as far as he possibly can, but game 2 is a little bit of a puzzle as he just tries to piecemeal it together. And another one. How about 3 outs? Silvestri, part of all 3 at first base. A couple of 1-3 putouts, an unassisted one as well, and a 1-2-3 top 4 for the Garnet. We're moving to the bottom of the fourth, 4-3 in favor of Swarthmore. Bottom of the fourth, Paul Cook, first pitch swinging to right field and right at Tristan Niels for out number 1. 7, 8, and 9 here in the fourth. That one had plenty of topspin as Tirada Herzer steps in.
And number 11, Kurt Gerardo Cruiser.
The center fielder put out 6-3 in his first at bat in the second inning. Couple of quick balls from Cole Wong. There's a fastball over for a called strike. Wong again in relief of Tirado. A drop third strike, but over to first. As Siebert takes the inside part of first base. And that is out number 2. So here comes number 9, Sam Jacobson. He started that big third inning, singled from the number 9 spot and scored, which turned out to be the first of those 4 runs in the third inning. If Jacobson gets on, we'll see Max Rothwarg. Jacobson with some work to do, now down no balls and 2 strikes. The 0-2. This one hit. This is going to be a tough play from the shortstop spot. A great throw across the diamond for out number 3. What an arm by Muir as he got his feet under him and got Jacobson by a half a step. 3 up, 3 down in the fourth. We've played 4. Swarthmore still on top, 4-3. We're moving along into the top of the 5th inning on the Garnet Sports Network in a 4-3 ball game. 3 runs, 4 hits for the visitors in the Bullets from Gettysburg. 4 runs, 6 hits for the home team. As Jones Shaw's back on the mound. He'll face 9, 1, and 2. J.R. McCloskey coming in for his second at bat. He walked earlier. We saw a one-run game in game number 1, and right now we're at a one-run game here in game number 2. This one right at Rothward, but he's unable to come up with it. Took a couple of steps back. Thought he had a beat on that, but just scooted over his mitt for a single into left field. So a couple quality at-bats already out of the 9th spot for J.R. McCloskey. And we go back to the top of the order for Miller. First pitch to shallow right field, and that is out number 1 as Cook comes up with that. You have 2 of the top 3 hitters in the Centennial in this game. In Mutz, currently in 2nd place in the league with a .415 starting the day. And then Muir, .411 for Gettysburg. Neither are terribly close to Andrew Mazzone for Dickinson, batting .471 this season. But again, 2 of the better hitters in the league right here in front of you. In terms of stolen bases, I've talked a lot about how much Swarthmore likes to run. They have the top 2 stolen base getters in the entire league. And actually 3 of the top 5 between Mutz, Burgess, and Cook in that order. As it counts 2 balls and 1 strike to Muir, one of those top hitters I was just talking about. The 4-year starter from the shortstop position takes ball number 3. Three and one with a runner at first and 1 away. Fastball, strike number 2, so the count goes full. I was almost wondering if Jones Shaw was not going to pitch that until someone called a quick timeout. He stood ready to pitch that one for a long time. I thought that maybe Muir would call a timeout and step out of the box. Here comes the 3-2. Runner goes. This one off his foot. So Muir stays alive. Coach Campo on the third base side with his signs. The 3-2 on the way, and there it was a timeout. Jones Shaw taking a long time after getting a sign to come home, and this time Muir does call timeout. Moves out of the box. Granted just before the windup too, by the way. It's a pretty close play there. At the discretion of the home plate umpire whether to grant it or not. So 3-2. Yeah, McCloskey's starting to lean the wrong way, but he gets back in plenty of time. The 3-2 again. Bounce to the third base side and in foul territory. We'll do it all over again. So Muir comes back. We hold on to the 3-2 count. Long at bat here. Here comes the 3-2 runner moving again, and this is trouble. Ball into the corner in left field, all the way down to the fence. One run will score. The tying run comes across and a stand-up double from Muir, and a really nice at-bat for the senior. They're playing hit and run all the way, and it turned out to work out really well for Coach Campo and the Bullets. That's the first hit in game number 2 for Muir. This knots it up at 4 apiece, as the two teams are mirroring one another with 4 runs and 6 hits apiece. And here's Tristan Niels. Niels 1 for 2, singled and scored in the third, and he's got a runner in scoring position again, the go-ahead run. There is some action in the bullpen. By the way, nice ceremony before game number 1 today, as Swarthmore honored Javi Goldstein. And the Goldsteins, part of the Swarthmore family. Javi lost his life way too soon at a very, very young age, and they named the bullpen after him today. It is the Javi Goldstein bullpen over at Swarthmore. Real nice moment for the Swarthmore family in pregame. There's strike number 2. So 1 ball and 2 strikes to Tristan Niels. Tristan, a right fielder from San Diego. I think he wanted that to plunk him. He was leaning into that one, hoping it might have caught him on the backside. It turned out to be just a bit inside, as I think Jones Shaw thought he rung him up looking, but the count goes 2 balls and 2 strikes. It's hard to see the chalk in that batter's box now that we're into the second game of this doubleheader, but Niels is real inside on that plate. And that pitch comes outside, and we go full again. We saw this in the last at-bat, 3 balls and 2 strikes with 1 out. It did not turn out well for Swarthmore, as Muir doubled in a run, and Niels has the same opportunity here. Here's your 3-2, fouled away. Three balls, 2 strikes to Tristan Niels. And that one does plunk him. Right on the backside. Nothing worse than getting hit on ball 4. And a base runner. So runners now at first and second. And I think we're going to have another pitching change here, as the day looks to be over for Jones Shaw. Gave up the tying run here in the top of the 5th, and a couple of runners on. And we will, in fact, have another pitching change. 4-4. Top 5, 1 out. Taking a break, coming back with a new pitcher. We'll update you on this game when we come back. So this is Jeremy Jensen, number 44, the 10.38 ERA, in for Jones Shaw. 1-0 on the year. This is appearance number 7. With 1 out, he's got runners at first and second. Andrew Decker's stepping in for his third at bat. 1 for 2 with a double to right field. Picked up a couple of RBIs with that double in the third. Jones Shaw responsible for runners at first and second, with Jensen now on the hill. The 0-1. Some popped up and out of play. One ball and 2 strikes. Swarthmore trying to get out of the jam here in the 5th inning. At one point trailed 3-0, then came back with those 4 runs in the bottom of the 3rd to take the lead. That fastball just a little bit high and outside, and the count goes even, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Here comes the 2-2. Over to third, 1 out. Picked out from the dirt at first. Silvestri's having a heck of a game here in game number 2. That's a double play that the Garnet really needed. 5-3 on the putout. One run does come across here in the top of the 5th as the Bullets tie up the game 4-4 as we move to the bottom of number 5. We're officially halfway through game number 2, bottom 5 in a 4-4 ball game. First pitch swinging, and this one's trouble into the gap, into right center. Niels does a nice job getting it in, and a clean single for Max Rothwarg to lead off the 5th. Hit number 2 for the leadoff guy. Remember, Rothwarg generally this season has batted in the 8 or 9 spot. And just here in game number 2, Coach Midkiff moves him to the leadoff spot. And so far it's been a pretty nice move. He has gotten on base all 3 times, has Rothwarg. He was hit by a pitch in his first at-bat. He singled and scored in his second at-bat, and he singles here. This brings up Luke Mutz. Speaking of playing well, Mutz already a couple of hits today. He's 2 for 2. This one hit pretty deep to left field back. Prezioso picks it up to second base is the tag. So that's about as far of a sacrifice as you will see from first to second, at least, when it leaves the infield. That one up against the fence, not your typical laying down a bunt to move a runner from first to second. But it gets the job done, as Mutz is out for the first time here in game number 2.
Now batting number 2, Austin Burgess.
So here's Austin Burgess with the big bat. A 3-run home run in his last at-bat. And at the time, that gave Swarthmore a 4-3 lead. That ball almost thrown into center field. So 1 out. Go ahead run at second base. That's McCloskey making a nice move left to right behind the plate for the Bullets. Coach Campos saying that McCloskey is one of the better defensive catchers he's had in his program in all the years he's been there, which says a lot when you consider the number of years Campos been in charge over there. The 2-0. Framed, but still outside for a ball. We go 3 balls and no strikes to Burgess. Swinging on 3-0. Burgess must have really loved that pitch. The fastball. So often when 3-0, the pitcher thinks I'm just going to get one over, a fastball right down the pike because they're going to take it. And usually they do. Burgess thinking to himself, that's the best pitch I might see, so he swings at it. And that one's outside the zone. So a 5-pitch walk to Burgess, and now runners with staying on first and second base for Michael Seppi.
Now batting number 45, Giuseppe.
By the way, I got to shout out Matteo Solicito over there. Got the start yesterday, so he's not pitching today, so he's on the PA today. I don't know if he gets paid double for that. I'm not sure if there's any extra money that ends up in your, with the travel money they give you guys when you're, ready to eat some lunch or something like that, or dinner. Maybe they, throw in a couple extra coins for you, but doing some double duty up here. Mateo had a nice afternoon yesterday in that win over Johns Hopkins, put the team in a position to win, pitched 3 innings of work. Didn't get the win. That went to Owen Webb, who came in relief. All I have to do is get Mateo to change some of the walk-up songs to some of the songs that I like, See if he can start spinning some, maybe some 70s and 80s. Put a little Bruce Springsteen in there for me or something like that. We'll have to see how it goes later in the year. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Seppi. Pitch just outside. Count goes even. Silvestri on deck. Jabara after that, if they get there. Go ahead run in scoring position. This one bounces away. All the runners will move up. Wong had the cover home as that ball really pulled McCloskey well off home plate down the third base side. That changes a lot now. On the 3-2, a runner at third and less than 2 outs. If Seppi can pull the ball to the right side of the infield, that's a go-ahead run for the Garnet. You have speed on the base path. Ruffwar can run at can run at third, and Burgess can run at second. The 3-2. This one over the mitt of Siebert into right field. 1 run comes in. Here comes run number 2. And a 2 RBI single for Michael Seppi. And a 6-4 ball game in favor of Swarthmore. That one just getting over Siebert's mitt. That's a real nice at bat for the lefty. And that will do it for Wong here in game number 2. We have another pitching change as Coach Campo comes out. But once again, here in game number 2 this afternoon for Gettysburg, they're playing from behind again, 6-4. Pitching change, and we'll reset when we come back. Here's our new pitcher, number 18, Ian Ganaway, a freshman from Westfield, New Jersey. He's in for Cole Wong.
Now batting number 23, Matthew Silvestri.
And here's Matthew Silvestri, a freshman. And we have ourselves a new ball game all of a sudden with another crooked number here for the Garnet in the 5th inning. A 2-spot, and they've got a 6-4 lead now, thanks to the bat of the man standing on first base, which is Michael Seppi, a 2 RBI single that scored Rothwarg and Burgess. It just got over the mid of Siebert into right field. For Rothwarg and Burgess, that's runs 1 and 2 this afternoon. They've scored 4 of the 6 runs for the Garnet. Mutz has 1 and Jacobson has the other. We have a 2-0 count to Silvestri, who's 0 for 2 today. This one popped up and out of play. Update on the softball game. The Garnet getting the better of the Shoremen, or the Shore women, I guess, this time around 5-1 in the 6th inning. So the Garnet looking for a series sweep today. I mentioned the big win for the men's lacrosse team. Fastball high. So both the baseball and softball teams trying to come back and gain a split today. On a 3-1 pitch. This one in the dirt. Silvestri scampers down the first, Seppi to second. Here's Nate Jabara. 1 for 2 here in game number 2. He singled to left center field, tried to stretch it. Ended up being out number 3. That was back in the 3rd inning. Fastball outside, so Ganaway falling behind a couple of batters here since he's come in for Wong. This ball is going to make it into the outfield. Actually hit slowly enough that a runner will come around to score. That's Seppi all the way from second in on the single. Silvestri stops at second base. Jabara give him an RBI and a hit. His second of the day. And that makes it 7-4 in favor of the Garnet. Three runs across here in the bottom of the 5th.
Now batting number 1, Paul Cook.
Paul Cook steps in 0 for 2. First pitch pops it up. Looks like that will get. For a second I thought it was going to get out of play. It does not. It comes back in the play and picked off by Decker at third base. That's a big out for the Bullets, out number 2. And here's Tirada Herzer, number 11, his third at bat, 0 for 2. Wong's line is done for the afternoon. 2 1/3 innings. Gave up 3 runs, all earned on 3 hits. Struck out 2, walked 1. An odd moment to square up for a bunt there with 2 outs and runners at first and second. So we'll see if he goes back and tries to swing away here. That pitch just misses, and the count goes even. A bunt would just move everybody up when you still have 2 outs. And that would be best case scenario. The 1-1. Right over for a called strike on the curve. One ball with a couple of strikes to the 8-hitter. If Terada Herzer gets on, we'll see Jacobson. Runner goes. This one popped up shallow right. Coming back and making the play is Toothman for out number 3. But 3 runs come across in a big bottom of the 5th for the Garnet as they regain the lead 7-4 as we move to the 6th. We're back in the top of the 6th. Matt Fine with you on the Garnet Sports Network. Once again, Swarthmore playing with the lead here in game number 2. They're putting up those 3 runs in the bottom of the 5th. 5, 6, and 7. We'll start with Aaron Kirby. The designated hitter, 0 for 2. He has flown out to right field twice this afternoon. This one's popped up, straight up. Back into fair territory, and a nice play by Jacobson. If anybody thinks that's an easy play, that is a tough play. But he plays it well for out number 1. This brings up Prezioso, a sophomore left fielder, 0 for 2 in game number 2. Jensen delivers. This one knocked down, unable to get it across. Knocked down by Mutz. Rothwart picked it up, but had no chance. And you see Mutz and Rothwart talking. Mutz had the momentum going towards first base, but needed to go a real long way to get that ball and unable to pick it up. That turns into an E5 officially. First error in game number 2 for either team. Oh, ball a little bit high, but Silvestri picks it up. There's been few people busier in the field in game number 2 than Silvestri has been over at first base. It's a nice pitch. It only became a strike at about 58 feet in. No balls and 1 strike to Siebert. Number 25, 0 for 2. It's a good location for a fastball. No balls and 2 strikes. Siebert, the junior, 6'1" from Yardley. That fastball just misses. It hit the mitt, but I think Jacobson playing a little bit off the plate on 0-2. That's a real tough pitch to take. These guys taking those kind of pitches. A ball by just a couple of inches coming in at 80 plus miles an hour in the mid 80s. Here comes the 2-2. And that is strike number 3. Blew it right by him. That pitch was right down the middle, but Siebert unable to catch up with it. As the first strikeout of the afternoon for Jensen. And here is Toothman, Preston Toothman. He is 1 for 2. Doubled and scored in the third. No balls and 2 strikes, 2 away here in the top of the 6th. After putting up the 3 spot in the bottom of the 5th, Swarthmore looking to come back and hold the lead here. They do have a runner at first, does Gettysburg and Prezioso. The 0-2, just a piece of it. Good defensive battle there for Toothman. If he gets on, we'll see the catcher and McCloskey. Here comes the 0-2. Outside for a ball. Infield playing straight up, outfield the same. Jensen delivering.
Yep.
That one fastball just misses outside. This is a count we've seen a ton of times today. 2 balls, 2 strikes with 2 away. We're looking at 9, 1, and 2 in the bottom half of the 6th for the Garnet. Here comes the 2-2. Popped up shallow right field. Coming in is Cook, and that will do it for the Bullets in the top of the 6th. No runs, no hits, 1 left. We move to the bottom of the 6th, 7-4 in favor of the Garnet. First pitch into the bottom of the 6th inning, 9-1-2. Sam Jacobson, Max Rothwarg, and Luke Mutz facing Ganaway. 4 runs, 6 hits, no errors for Gettysburg. 7 runs, 9 hits, 1 error for the home team in the Garnet from Swarthmore. Two balls and 1 strike to Jacobson. Jacobson coming into today, batting .250 this season. Again, did not play in game number 1 today, but he was the catcher yesterday in that big win over Johns Hopkins. I mentioned in game 1, that's the first ever win at Hopkins for Coach Mitgiff. And down the first goes number 9. So leadoff base runner. We're heading right back to the top of the order.
Now batting number 18, Max Rothwarg.
Max Rothwarg having a nice game number 2. He's reached all 3 times. He was hit by a pitch in his first at-bat, and he singled and scored both in the 3rd and in the 5th. So officially 2 for 2. Between Rothwarg and Mutz, those 2 guys are combined 4 for 4 in game number 2. Burgess also has a hit, a bomb, a 3-run shot to left. Seppi with a hit as well. So the top 4 batters for Swarthmore have 6 hits among them. Jabbar with a couple of hits. One ball and no strikes to Rothwarg. Got a lefty on the mound. It's going to make life a little bit more difficult for the base runners on Swarthmore. You saw that a little bit there. Jacobson leaning the wrong way. It does get back in time. He was only a couple of feet off first base, but Took that quarter of a step towards second before retreating. Did that on the secondary. Here's the 1-0. At the knees for strike number 1. So Rothwark moving up to the leadoff spot and making the most of it here in game number 2. He entered the day batting .286. We've seen a bunch of bunt attempts in this situation as well, trying to move runners into scoring position. Have not seen that right now in this at bat. Do have Decker on the dirt, not pinching up too much, maybe even with the bag at third. The 1-1 curves in for a strike. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The delivery in the dirt, gets away down the second. A real nice throw down the second base, but the ball is dropped. That's a good throw by McCloskey. And I think the ball actually beat the runner there, beat Jacobson down the second, but again, the ball dropped and on the wild pitch. Now a runner in scoring position with a 2-2 count to Rothwark. And he fools him there. And that is out number 1. So Rothwark retired for the first time in game number 2. This brings up Luke Mutz. Mutz with a couple of hits and a sacrifice. 3 quality at bats. Also scored a run.
Now batting number 7, Luke Mutz.
Waits on that one. And under the mitt of Siebert and into right field. A run is being waved home. And an 8-4 lead for the Garnet as Mutz comes in and scores Jacobson all the way from second base. And looks like we have another pitching change coming up as Campo's heading out there. Give Mutz his 3rd hit, an RBI, and that 8-4 lead and a pitching change. We'll take a break, come back with more baseball here on the Garnet Sports Network. Stepping in, Austin Burgess against number 24, James Whedon. Whedon is a freshman pitcher from New Hyde Park, New York. 13.50 ERA. Just his second appearance this season. He's pitched 2/3 of an inning. So the freshman getting some time that he hasn't seen much of this year in a freshman role. Again, as a freshman, just his second ever appearance as a college baseball player. And he's facing one of the better hitters on this team right off the bat. Burgess already with a 3-run bomb today. Also walked and scored. The top of the order doing all sorts of damage today in game number 2. Seven runs have been scored by the top 4 hitters. The only other run today has been scored by the 9-hitter in Jacobson. The 3-0 shows bunt taking all the way, though. Coach Booth giving some signs down the third base side. 8-4 ball game in favor of the Garnet. Looking for more. And that ball's hit a ton to left field, back, and gone. Make it a second home run this afternoon for Austin Burgess, and that was a no-doubter. As he watched that one clear the wall in left field. This time a 2-run shot, not nearly as good as the first one, right? That first one was a 3-run blast. This one, a 2-run blast. As Mutz comes around to score, Burgess. Home runs number 4 and 5 now leads the team. And that makes it a 10-4 ball game. So Burgess has scored 3 times today in game number 2. Mutz has scored a couple of times. First pitch deep to right field. This one back, and this one's gone. We're going back to back. Michael Seppi, who's coming around the base path as if that ball was hit into the gap. You had Burgess taking his sweet time coming around. Seppi was on his horse. A solo shot. A 3rd home run in game number 2. And that's home run number 2 this season for Seppi.
Now batting number 23, Matthew Sylvester.
An 11-4 ball game here. A 4 spot has opened it up in the 6th inning. Burgess with a couple of bombs to left, and now Seppi with one to right. The top of this order has just been outstanding here in game number 2. With Silvestri up. And if I can talk about one guy's been getting the job done on defense, it's Silvestri. So we've seen some offense from the 3 and 4 spots, and Silvestri coming in. He's been doing the job on defense. We'll see if he can come up with a hit. He's 0 for 2 with a walk. Here are the top 4 hitters in game number 2. Rothwarg has a couple of hits, and he scored a couple of times. So this ball's bounced over for out number 2. So Rothwarg with 2 hits and a couple of runs. Luke Mutz has 3 hits. He scored a couple of runs. Austin Burgess, 2 for 3, both hits, home runs. He's got 5 RBIs, and he scored 3 times. And then there's Michael Seppi as well,
Jabara.
who's got 2 hits, and he scored 2 runs. So with Nate Jabara coming up, you look at those top 4 batters. 9 hits among the top 4 batters. And here's Jabara, by the way, who's got 2 hits of his own. This one inside out, and out number 3. But a 4 spot, once again, the second time here in game number 2, that the Garnet has scored 4 runs in a single inning. 11-4 is your score as we move to the 7th. Top of the 7th, 11-4 is your score. We go 9-1-2 here in the 7th for Gettysburg. And a new pitcher, Alex Rimmerman, number 6, 1-2 this season. His 8th appearance today. 12.46 ERA. He's got McCloskey here before going back to the top of the order. This is pitcher number 5 for the Garnet. Jensen's line, by the way, 1 2/3 innings. Gave up no runs, no hits. Did strike out 1 as well. With a 7-run lead, you got 1 goal here. Just throw some strikes. It's a good-looking fastball. Rimmerman is a freshman from Mount Laurel.
Yep.
That one finds the outside part of the plate, a fastball at the knees. So good start for Rimmerman. A backwards K here in the top of the 7th. We go back to the top of the order. Number 6, Kyle Miller. He's got one hit in his 3 at-bats. Bouncer to the left side, gets his feet under him, and pulled off first Silvestri. A heck of a play by Silvestri to keep that ball from getting by him. But an infield single with 1 out. So a couple of hits for Miller. And here's the captain, Matt Muir. Miller, one of the faster players in this team, as he beat that ball out at first. He's the one who tracks all the balls in center field. Miller's a 3-year starter, giving way to a 4-year starter in Muir at home plate. The 0-1 flare to right field, out of play. The 0-2. This one inside out and foul. We have a final in the softball game, by the way, as the Garnet even up the afternoon with Washington College. Your final there 6-1. So the softball team 16-3 this season. That ball fair down the left field line, picked up quickly by Burgess. So it turns into a long single, really, as Miller is now at second base with Muir at first. In comes number 8, Tristan Niels. Niels has a hit in this game. First pitch to shallow right field. Cook is there. No one's going anywhere on that. And that is out number 2. For the softball team, Glatz, by the way, the third baseman, 4 for 4. Simon also had a couple of hits and a couple of RBIs in that win for the Garnet, so that wraps up the day. Two outs here for Decker. Decker has a double. That came in the 3rd inning. Also grounded into a double play in the 5th. Seen 2 double plays for Swarthmore here in game number 2. They also picked up one in the 3rd inning. Rimmerman steps off. 2 away, 2 runners on. A fastball just outside. Pitch just missing. 2 balls and no strikes to the 4-hole hitter. Decker 5'11", 185 from Baltimore. Have a timeout. Some Hardy fans, by the way, those students down near the dorm in left field, standing there all afternoon long. They've seen a couple of long balls hit their way this afternoon, which has been pretty exciting. A little chilly, but not a bad day for baseball. As this ball inside out, but straight at Cook. Seen that plenty of times today for out number 3. A couple of base runners on a couple of hits, but nobody comes across. We are stretching at Clothier, 11-4 in favor of the Garnet. We're back bottom 7 with a pinch hitter and a new pitcher. First, I'll give you the pinch hitter. Josh Bean, number 24, is a junior from Del Mar, New York. And he is facing Andrew Weinbaum, number 33 for Gettysburg. Weinbaum is a junior, 6'2", from Weston, Connecticut. Weinbaum with a 5.06 ERA. This ball hit to center field. Miller right there for out number 1.
Now batting number 36, Evan Johnson.
Another pinch hitter. This is Evan Johnson. Johnson batting a .182 this season. His 15th game this year. Batting in the 8th spot for Gerardo Herzer. This one popped up back into fair territory for out number 2. And here's number 12, another pinch hitter.
Number 12, Benjamin Buckman.
Benjamin Buckman. So we have 3 pinch hitters here in the 7th inning.
He's trying to find his number.
So Buckman will likely come in the catching spot for Jacobson. Johnson likely going to center field for Tirada Herzer. And Bean also looking like he'll go to the outfield for Cook. Two balls and 1 strike. The 2-2. Swing and a miss. And that will do it for the Garnet here in the bottom of the 7th. 1-2-3. We're moving to the top of the 8th. Still 11-4 in favor of Swarthmore. New pitcher here in the top of the 8th is number 29, Joshua Ranke, a freshman from Williamsport, Pennsylvania. Ranke, his 3rd appearance this season. He's pitched 1 2/3 innings with a clean sheet. For Gettysburg at the plate, Matthew Pfeiffer, number 26, is pinch hitting. Pfeiffer batting .325 this season. He's got 13 hits in his 40 at-bats.
Yes! Oh!
fastball just missing on a 2-2 now. We have Buckman now catching for Ranky. Johnson is moving to center field in place. That ball's hit hard. Let me get the defensive sets for you as that ball goes off the wall in center field. So that's Johnson who in center field now with Terada Herzer out. So a runner at second base now. Again, Buckman's catching right now. I apologize. I'm trying to catch up with all the different changes that have been made here in the top of the eighth. We have Prezioso's in his regular spot in the sixth hole. So Beans in right field for Cook. Johnson is in center field for Terada Herzer. Buckman is now catching for Jacobson. And again, Ranky's on the mound. Prezioso has reached once today on an error, officially 0 for 3. Swing and a miss, and that is a strikeout for Ranky as Prezioso goes down. That's out number 1. And here's number 25, Mark Siebert. So one away with a runner on second base. An 11-4 ball game. That ball gets away from Buckman, and a runner advances. So Pfeiffer now standing at third base. One ball, no strikes. As Ranky steps off for a second. Ranky is the 6th pitcher this afternoon for Coach Mitgiff. This one lifted to center field pretty deep. Back at the wall. And that is out number 2. Johnson pulls that one in. A run does come in to score. That makes it 11-5. And here's number 19, Preston Toothman. So nobody on anymore. Got the one run across. But at this point, Swarthmore will trade runs for outs. The lefty deals. Straight back. No balls and 1 strike to Toothman. Fastball a little bit high in the zone. The count goes even. 6 different pitchers in game number 2. Fastball misses. Blows one right by number 19. So Ranke 1 strike away from getting out of this inning after giving up the double to lead off the 8th. Lefty with a fastball. They peel down, said he did not go, and the count goes full. 3 balls and 2 strikes, 2 away. The 3-2 inside, and a 2-out walk and a base runner. And here's the catcher, J.R. McCloskey. McCloskey first pitch swinging into foul territory and out number 3 here in the top of the 8th. A run does come across. The Swarthmore still well in control of this one. 11-5 as we move to the bottom half. Bottom 8 on the Garden Sports Network. We have a new pitcher on the mound for the Bullets, number 27,
Max Rothward.
Tyler Lizelle, freshman from Naples, Florida. This is Max Rothward, his 5th at bat. Bounces one for quick out number 1. And here's Luke Mutz. We saw 3 pinch hitters in the 7th inning, but we're business as usual now here in the bottom of the 8th.
Luke Mutz.
Mutz is 3 for 3 with that sacrifice. So 4 quality at bats in game number 2. He's in a hole, no balls and 2 strikes. Will be at the top of the order for Gettysburg with their last chance in the top of the 9th. Pops this one up. Left center field. Out number 2. It's the first time that Mutz has been retired in game number 2. He did have the sacrifice, of course, but the first time did not pick up a quality at bat.
Now stepping in number 33, Joe Raddick.
Here's number 33, Joe Raddick for Burgess. Hits this ball pretty hard to center field, but pulled in for out number 3. 1-2-3 in the bottom half of the 8th. We go to the 9th. One more chance for Gettysburg, 11-5. Last chance for Gettysburg here in the top of the ninth. New pitcher on the mound for Swarthmore. This is number 13, Matthew Loomis, making his season debut. Coming back from an injury, getting in some time now. 11-5. And he's got the top of the order for the Bullets. This is number 6, Kyle Miller, in his 5th at bat. Miller 2 for 4 this afternoon. If things stay the way they are right now, both of these teams will end today 4-2 in the Centennial. Everybody's chasing Franklin and Marshall. Franklin and Marshall picked up both wins this afternoon against Muhlenberg. Johns Hopkins picked up both wins against Dickinson as well. So Hopkins will move to 4-2 as well after today. And down goes number 6 to first base. Number 12 steps in, Matt Muir. I said Hopkins won both today, really in game 2. They're winning 8-0, but technically they're still playing in the final inning or two of that game. The Franklin and Marshall game is a final. The 0-1. This one popped up into foul territory. Plenty of room. And out number 1. So 1 away here. We have ourselves a pinch hitter in this 3-hole for Gettysburg. Number 16. Shea Maneri from Harleysville, Pennsylvania, senior, 6'2". Shane, first pitch right up the middle. So Maneri, who came in batting .214, is 1 for 1 now with that single. One out, a couple of runners on board. Andrew Decker, number 2. His 5th at bat. Decker 1 for 4. Swarthmore a couple of outs away here from evening up this Saturday afternoon series. After picking up 2 wins against Washington College, they split 2 games against Johns Hopkins this week, losing on Tuesday at home, winning yesterday in Baltimore, and then a possible or likely split today. Down the third, safe at third, nice throw, but safe nonetheless. So both runners move up. But a split here would move them to 4-2. One of the more surprising teams so far early on has to be this Gettysburg team. In the preseason poll, Gettysburg picked to finish 9th out of the 10 teams, and right now the Bullets are looking at 4-2, 6 games in. Franklin and Marshall, the only undefeated team, they were picked to finish 2nd in the preseason poll, so they're close to where they were thought to be. On the opposite side, Washington College picked to finish 4th and make it into the postseason. They still have not won a conference game, so they're trying to claw their way from the bottom and move up. 5 runs on 10 hits for Gettysburg, 11 runs, 12 hits, and 1 error for Swarthmore. So even though we're only 2 outs away from ending this game, there is some action in the bullpen. This one also popped up on the right side in the foul territory. 3 different Swarthmore players coming over, and that is a really nice play for out number 2. So 2 pop-ups in the foul territory on the right side for a couple of outs, and now Swarthmore down to need just 1 out. And Pfeiffer stands in, number 26.
There was only one thing. It was the batter interference. So it was the only time.
It was like the first inning of the first game.
Yeah. Okay.
The batter interference on softball. I had to look up what it was.
Fastball over for a called strike. After the doubleheader today, Swarthmore will head to Haverford on Tuesday. They'll play 2 at Haverford, or 2 against Haverford, 1 at Haverford on Tuesday. Then they'll come home on Friday. We'll have that game on the Garnet Sports Network, by the way, a 3:30 start. And then they'll be on the road next weekend at Dickinson.
Haircut cam. It was absolutely disgusting. It's because he no longer throws a sinker anymore. He uses like the fast, like another force of the fastball. So the issue was that he was like a sinker.
For Gettysburg,
So you would throw it right down the middle.
they've got Hopkins next. They'll head down to Baltimore on Tuesday before returning home against the Blue Jays on Friday.
But now that he just throws the force of fastball, he can that outside, inside, and it's just so fast that like.
Saw his line. I said we could really move.
And then they'll be on the road next weekend at Haverford as well. So Haverford playing both of these teams in the next week or so. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Yes.
And that is strike number 3 looking. So an afternoon split as Loomis gets a lot of high fives. And a joyous game number 2 for the Garnet. 11-5 is your final score. 11 runs, 12 hits, and 1 error for Swarthmore. The 5 runs, 10 hits for Gettysburg. Again, both teams now 4-2 in conference. Gettysburg 11-15 on the year. Swarthmore 11-15 as well. And that wraps it up for us here on the Garnet Sports Network. We're back with some more baseball next Friday with an afternoon start time. Until then,